Have you ever wondered about what is the difference between Franklin, Tennessee and Brentwood, Tennessee? Maybe you've been researching the areas and you're not quite sure what differentiates one from the other. So that's exactly what we're diving into in today's video. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin Martin, previously Caitlin Davis, but recently married. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time here, please feel free to subscribe down below. Click the little bell. It'll let you know anytime I roll out new video content. So today's video is going to be about the differences between Brentwood and Franklin. This video actually comes by request from Santiago Vega. I hope I'm saying that right. But he reached out and requested this video, so I figured I would go ahead and create it. If you guys ever have any ideas that you would like for me to create video content around, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can always reach me by email. That is going to be down below. Again, I am here. I want to be a good resource for you if you are thinking about moving here. So if you guys have content that you would like me to create, please feel free to shoot it over. So like I said, today's video is going to be about the differences between Franklin and Brentwood, because I feel like a lot of times people feel like they're interchangeable. And while there certainly are similarities, there's definitely distinctive differences between the two. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Okay, Franklin and Brentwood. Let's go ahead and talk about location. This is going to be one of the biggest differentiators of them. If you're actually looking at a map of Nashville and you actually blow it out, so you're going to see obviously the heart of downtown, smack in the center of Nashville. And then if you go straight down I-65, you're going to end up running first into Brentwood. Then if you go a little bit further south, then you're going to come into Franklin. So their locations are different, right? So Brentwood is going to be further north, closer to the heart of downtown than what Franklin's going to be. So that's like one of the reasons why Brentwood can be a draw for people, because to get from Brentwood into the heart of downtown, you're looking at about 20 minutes, give or take, with traffic. Now, if you're looking at getting into downtown from the Franklin area, you're looking closer to 30 minutes. And this is like where like the times don't add up exactly. But if you want to go between Brentwood and Franklin, those two are going to be about 20 minutes, again, depending on where you are in each one. So it's going to be about 20 minutes to get from Brentwood to the heart of downtown Franklin. So again, location, so think of it as downtown Nashville, you come down to Brentwood and then you go a little bit further south, and that's when you're going to run into Franklin. Now, most of Brentwood is going to be encompassed inside of Williamson County. Brentwood, Franklin, both inside Williamson County. So just keep that in mind. There are a few addresses on the outskirts of Brentwood that does fall into Davidson County, but for the most part, it is within Williamson County lines. Now, if we're talking about mileage in terms of how far it is from each one to get into downtown, in Brentwood, you're looking at about 12 miles. So to get from Brentwood into the heart of downtown, you're looking at around 12 miles, of course, give or take wherever you are. And then in Franklin, you're looking closer to 22 miles, again, depending on where you are. But then if you're looking at between Brentwood and Franklin, those are about 12 miles apart. So those are all just things to keep in mind. One of the draws about Brentwood is the fact that if you are looking to be able to have that easy accessibility into downtown, maybe you want to go enjoy the restaurants or the nightlife or sporting events, it's pretty easy to get from Brentwood into the heart of downtown. But if you also love the draw of Franklin, you're able to similarly get down into Franklin at about the same time that you can get into the heart of Nashville, so that you got this really great central location. All right, up next, let's talk about housing prices. So if you're looking at Brentwood versus Franklin, if you're looking at entry price point levels for a single family home, you are traditionally going to have a little bit of a lower entry price point, believe it or not, in Franklin versus Brentwood. So entry level price points in both. If you're looking at Franklin for a single family home, you can look at getting in around that $400 to $450, $475 range, depending on the neighborhood. I even did see a couple, I'm talking like 2 homes in the past several months that were located in the Franklin area that were like $375, but those were like smaller 3-bedroom homes. So, but typically if you're thinking about true entry price point, you're gonna look at, $420, $450, $475, all in that range and above. Now, if you're looking in Brentwood, it's going to be extremely hard to get into the Brentwood area, and a single family home within the Williamson County lines under 500,000. So these are some things to keep in mind. Now, of course, both Franklin and Brentwood both have neighborhoods that kind of range. And so from those entry price points, of course, you scale up well over $1 million, $2 million, just depending on the neighborhood. So one of the differences between the two is that you're going to find that you can get a little bit lower of an entry price point in Franklin versus Brentwood. Now, a couple of other things to know about the housing in both. So if you're looking at the overall setup of a neighborhood, so in Franklin, you're going to find more neighborhoods where the homes are a little bit closer together, right? So the lots are gonna be a little bit smaller. In those certain neighborhoods, you're looking at, 0.19, 0.2, 0.25 average for a lot size in terms of, in these various neighborhoods. But then in Brentwood, you tend to get a home that's going to sit on a bigger lot. So part of that is, Brentwood, like Franklin, has been around for a very long time. Obviously, there was the big battle at Franklin and the Civil War. And so you're going to have a lot of the older architecture style in Franklin. And you're also gonna run into a lot of like brick, colonial, very cute homes. Now in Brentwood really became developed starting in like the 1970s. It was a lot of farmland prior to that. And then it became, after it became an incorporated town, then that brought in more real estate and commercial development. But with that, because the land was more farmland, the lots that they started to build on were larger. So in Brentwood, you can tend to get a little bit more space, a little bit more lot size with your home. And then if you're wondering in terms of like the actual home style, a lot of the new construction, is starting to take more of a modern twist. But if you're looking at some of those older, more, established homes in the Brentwood area, you're going to find a lot of brick, two-story, Southern traditional style homes. You'll find a lot of that, like the orangey, peachy brick with like the cream trim. So you'll see a lot of that unless somebody has gone back in and they've updated the outside of the home. That's not to say this is not for all neighborhoods. This is just some of those more established older neighborhoods. Okay, so let's talk ambiance, style, vibe. What are kind of the differences ultimately between Franklin versus Brentwood, right? So Franklin has these really deep historical roots. So Franklin has a true historical downtown strip, right? It's called Main Street. It's been voted like one of the best main streets in all of America. It has a lot of charm, very cute. It has plenty of restaurants and shops. It basically looks like you stepped into a Hallmark Christmas movie, or maybe the Gilmore Girls. Like it has that really cute small town charm. So it has that true downtown space. Brentwood does not have its own downtown. So that's gonna be one of the biggest differences between the two. You definitely have a lot of shopping centers in Brentwood where you can get all of, your local amenities, your grocery stores, your gas stations, your pharmacies, doctor's offices. But you're not gonna have that true quintessential charming downtown area like you do in Franklin. Now, because of that, it kind of lends itself to just a little bit of a different vibe, right? So because you have this downtown square that has these deep historical roots, you're going to have a lot of architecture that reflects that time and has that really charming Southern, Civil War feel to it, right? Especially around downtown Franklin, you're gonna find a lot of really charming renovated bungalows. Whereas because Brentwood doesn't have that historical downtown area, you're gonna find a little bit more modern architecture, especially in their shopping centers. Now, yes, Brentwood definitely has its own shopping centers, but Franklin, yes, there's the downtown area, but you also have an area called Cool Springs, which is where a massive mall is. And pretty much in the Cool Springs area, anything you're gonna need, you're gonna be able to find, from like a Home Depot to the mall to, fast food like Chick-fil-A to restaurants. I mean, the Cool Springs area is constantly jam-packed with traffic because it just has pretty much anything you need right there. So between Franklin and Brentwood, you have both of these like shopping centers that do make it really convenient. So you're not having to travel far out to get things that you may need in everyday life or other things that, you know, may come up as you need, whether it's a home project or whatever it may be. So, you know, you definitely are fortunate in the fact that in either area, whichever one you choose, you are going to be able to get to those local, you know, everyday amenities very quickly. It's just, you're gonna have a little bit of a different vibe, right? So around downtown, you'll have more of the historical charming feel. You know, Cool Springs does have more of that updated modern feel in terms of its shopping center, but that's very much the same and can be said of the Brentwood shopping centers as well. Okay, let's talk about schools in both. Now, because Brentwood and Franklin are both within Williamson County, you're going to find that both have highly rated schools, right? So it can almost be saying you can't go wrong either way. Ultimately, it comes up to your choice once you do the research on the schools in terms of which schools you feel like might be the best fit for your children, because then that will dictate, obviously, if you're wanting to go to public school, it'll dictate where it is that you want to live. But really and truly, if you look at both, they're very comparable in terms of school scores. You know, in Brentwood, you're gonna have mostly 7, 8s, 9s, and I believe there's even a 10 in there. And in Franklin, you're gonna find the same, except there's like 2 or 3 6 rated schools in there. So again, they're very similar across the board. So it ultimately comes down to your own personal choice. And then last thing, let's talk about what are things to do in both Franklin and Brentwood. Now, I do have a video that I covered that I will link up here about things to do in Franklin. There is plenty to do. Of course, you can go enjoy the downtown area in Franklin that has shops and restaurants. There's also JJ's Wine Bar, which is a really fun spot to go visit. It's actually a historical home that's been renovated into this wine bar. It's just oozing charm. You have Leaper's Fork that is just a short drive away from Franklin. There is so much to do in there. In Brentwood, you're gonna be really close to a lot of nature. So if you're a nature person, this might be a big draw for you. So you're gonna have a lot of access to greenways, to trails. You're not very far from the Radford Lake State Park, which is a huge draw for people. Locals and transplants alike love Radnor. It is absolutely gorgeous. You can go out there and walk around the entire lake. It's just a really, really peaceful place to be. And again, not very far from Brentwood at all. And then also in Brentwood, this is kind of really fun. I've done it before, but there's goat yoga. And I know that was kind of the fad a few years ago, but it's in Brentwood if you want to go enjoy and have a good time with your friends. You've got goat yoga. You also have this Dyer's Observatory there. And again, in Brentwood, you're not that far from being able to get into downtown pretty quickly. So you have easy access there if you want to go, like I said, try new restaurants, go to a concert, go to the Titans game or a Preds game, whatever it is you may want to do. So ultimately, you really can't go wrong with either one. It really comes down to, you know, where do you feel more at home? Where's the draw for you? You know, are you looking for a home that's on a bigger lot? Maybe that draws you to Brentwood, or maybe you want to be really close and be able to get into downtown Franklin to go enjoy the coffee or to go enjoy the shops, whatever it may be. You really can't go wrong with either. I always suggest, if you were thinking about moving here, planning a recon trip, coming and driving the area so that way you can get a feel of what feels best for you. Because what may feel good for one person, it may not be the fit for another person. So ultimately, I hope this video is really helpful. I hope it starts to give you a little bit of an idea between the differences between the two, but there's also a lot of similarities as well. If you have any questions about Brentwood or Franklin, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Of course, you can always grab my Nashville relocation guide. It's located down below. And please do not hesitate to reach out. Shoot me an email if you have any questions or you are thinking about moving to the area. My name is Caitlin Martin. I'll see you next time.